I respect everybody until they earn my disrespect. How can to be determined be a law? We found out through the past few months, a year, whatever, that the ACA, Affordable Care Act, is anything but. What what I don't understand is every time we turn around we hear this to be determined. This phrase over and over and over again in this monstrosity of a mandate. It is absolutely 100% unconstitutional for the United States government to force me or any U.S. citizen to engage in commerce of any kind and for any reason. I don't care what 7 people in robes say. Justice John Roberts was blackmailed because if the information got out that he had mishandled his adoption of 2 Irish children, that people might not look too kindly on him sitting in the United States Supreme Court because he usurped or went around international anti-child trafficking laws in order to adopt his 2 children. And if this became public, he might not sit on the Supreme Court too long because he committed a crime. And that's how they got this unconstitutional mandate passed by the Supreme Court. After, of course, Obunghole went around the country for how long? Campaigning for this horse shit? Promising everybody. And now when I say everybody, let's remember that Congress and Senate were also included in this promise. He lied to everybody. You like your doctor? You can keep your doctor. You like your health care plan? You can keep your health care plan. He was lying to Congress and he was lying to Senate because they were so stupid, remember? They weren't reading it for themselves. Instead, they were being led by the nose. One party, anyway. Then, and as I said, he lied to Congress. That's a crime. He got this shit passed on a lie. To everybody, including them. Then, once the horse shit is passed, and they're trying to cram it down our throats, we get Obunghole, who is just going against another one of his campaign promises of, following the Constitution and the rule of law. First, he gets this unconstitutional horseshit passed into law. Then, he just starts waiving this and that's in the law. Well, we don't have to do that. Well, hey, you can have an exemption, Hey, yeah, you get an exemption too. And by the way, we're pushing that date back, and we're pushing this back, and that's not upholding the law, which is the promise he made twice when he took that office. So, he's committing crimes by not enforcing the law and just, waving them. He had this big song and dance in front of the nation when he was making a speech on immigration, and he had this kid staged in the background screaming about how you should just sign an executive order, you have the power, and the president had make this big, production about, well, I don't have the power to just do that, blah, 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 blah. That's funny. You just signed this executive horse shit when you wanted to say that, any illegal in this country between these certain ages and been here this long and blah, blah, blah could stay. You have no problem. Holy shit. Wow. The song and dance that this motherfucker does all the time and constantly, I'm getting so friggin' sick and tired of it. Don't listen to the voices that speak of government tyranny. Remember that when he said that in a speech? Those voices that were speaking about government tyranny are us older generation who recognize and know exactly what's going on, because we have an innate nation of young zombies, head down, looking in one device or another, blah 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 blah, no idea what the hell's going on in the world around them. And these are the same people that these son of a bitch wants us to sit down at the turkey table and tell these kids that they have to get old bunghole scare. You gotta be kidding me. Every time we turn around, this scumbag is attacking somebody, isn't he? It's always somebody else's fault. He didn't know. He learned secondhand. He's waiving this law. He's waiving that law. As I just explained, I don't understand how all of us sat aside and let to be determined be written into law. I think that's the very definition of tyranny. Sure, you got carte blanche to say whatever the fuck you want. And she does. You understand that, don't you? If she says that every American has to have their home inspected, guess what? To be determined. You people don't seem to understand this, do you? People don't seem to understand the power that they've just handed over. Well, actually, one party handed over. What a bunch of garbage. What a bunch of horse shit. Time and time and time again we are being lied to. Again and again and again, blatantly. He was going to get to the bottom of the IRS, wasn't he? He was going to get those guys in Benghazi, wasn't he? He was going to make sure that whoever was responsible for the AP scandal was going to pay, wasn't he? Are you kidding me? When Holder got caught lying to Congress, Bunghole signed an executive order sealing the records so that Congress couldn't prove that Holder lied to them. Now they have those records, and Holder is being impeached. Let's hope that goes forward. As I've said in my previous videos, Bunghole covers for Holder, Holder covers for Bunghole. We get Holder the hell out of the way, we might be able to get this fraud uncovered. This massive fraud that Bunghole has perpetrated. Sheriff's kits have been delivered to Congress and Senate. Over 100 so far. That means, ladies and gentlemen, that it is your and my job to get on the phone and call a congressman and call your senator and tell them that we know that they know, and that right now they're committing a crime by doing nothing. They have to act or they're a criminal. Once they're aware of it, they can't hide. They're done. So, it is up to us to make them act. I can call in and sound like a conspiracy theorist wacko. I can keep calling. They recognize my voice. They know who I am. Now they just hang up on me. But if thousands of us call in about the same issue, just like this bunghole scare horse shit, many of our politicians are fighting against it. Why? Because public opinion is totally against it, and they have no choice. With the elections coming up, we need to pry the lid off the bunghole fraud. Now is the time. These people want your vote. Tell them what it's going to cost. We want the truth. We want the fraud exposed. We want instantaneous reversal of everything Bunghole's done once that fraud is proven. You understand that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope. Once Bunghole is proven to be perpetrating fraud, and people keep calling this a birther issue, it's no longer a birther issue. It is a fraud issue. It doesn't matter if Bunghole's mother had 500 witnesses when she squatted down and shit him out in the middle of Times Square. It wouldn't matter. Right now, it's a fraud issue. He is using 3 different forms of fraudulent identification. It is way beyond a birther issue. In and amongst this birther issue, we ought to be aware that a large hole in our immigration and identification system in Hawaii is flawed big time. And anybody can get a United States birth certificate through Hawaii second hand. This was proven by Mike Zullo. Look into Sheriff Arpaio's cold case posse's Alabama affidavit, and you will see, ladies and gentlemen, that Obunghole is 100% fraudulent. Let's expose this now. And when we do, a fraud cannot sign an executive order. A fraud cannot make law. A fraud cannot sit in the White House. A fraud can't even scrub the White House toilets. Let's make this happen, ladies and gentlemen. Call. Don't call just once. Keep on calling. Poke your neighbors and your friends and tell them they should be calling also. This is bigger than a bunghole scare. This is every fraudulent thing he's done since day one can get reversed, ladies and gentlemen. You can't impeach a fraud. You will impeach the wrong name. His name's not Barack Hussein Obama. Look into it. Do you ever see any paperwork? Everybody knows that he went to college as Barry Soetoro. Anybody ever see any paperwork where he changed his name to Barack Hussein Obama? Doesn't exist. It's an alias. Look into it. How, ladies and gentlemen, did you sit idly by and let to be determined get passed into law? By a fraud, no less. A fraud that promises the moon and the stars and delivers absolutely nothing. And when you ask him about anything, he knows nothing. He found out when you found out. And by dog dang nabbit, he'll get to the bottom of it, won't he? And he never, ever does. Nobody is ever held up and said, here he is. This is the guy that got fired. This is whose desk it fell on. Never, ever. And it never falls on his desk either. He didn't know he was mispromising you, 'cause he lied when he was explaining the lie. We told you back then that if it was no, what you said was period. Period to everybody in America means no caveats whatsoever. The statement is golden. Period. I got one for you. Bunghole is a 100% fraud. Period. Look into it. Call your congressman. Call your senator. Call them more than once. Keep on a-calling. That's your job. To preserve freedom is actually our jobs, because when they don't do their jobs, they're to answer to us. Now's the time to make them answer. Tell them they had better investigate Bunghole, or we're going to come after them for their crimes too. Pitchforks, shovels. We'll start marching on Washington. Mr. Clayman is already there, and he has vowed to stay there until Bunghole is removed in cuffs. Best of luck, Mr. Clayman. I hope you get it. I hope you get this criminal. How many crimes has Bunghole committed? Many. You can't just usurp the law. Took an oath to uphold the law. Just sweeping aside parts of Bunghole scare? Particularly sending a drone to kill a 16-year-old American citizen overseas. That's murder. Many, many crimes. Make your phone calls, ladies and gentlemen. Now's the time. We had them over a barrel. God bless us all. Good luck to you, ladies and gentlemen. I think we're going to need it.